So, hello everyone. Let me inform you on how you can interact in this webinar. If you have a question or comment regarding the propositions, you can put your question in writing here. On the bottom of your screen, you have a button with Q&A. Click on it and type. We will be answering the questions either in writing or verbal, but we will not interrupt a presentation to reply. After Constitution and after Proposition 3, Proposition 4, Proposition 9, and after the last one, the respective questions will be answered verbally, which have not already been answered in writing. Please may we ask you to only write in the Q&A questions or comments which are related to this propositions webinar. Thank you, and I will pass over for the welcome words to the acting president.
Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on where you are in Europe. I just want to welcome all the presidents of our European member associations and all the delegates present. I don't know if there is any also senior management member of ETTU, so welcome you all. Today, this is our second webinar in preparation for the ETTU Congress scheduled for September 13 in Malmo. Today, we're going to have some more explanations and rationales behind the propositions and some constitutional changes. I hope that you can raise all the questions you wish. We hope that we can have a good discussion. All this webinar will be recorded and available to all the member associations who wish to watch it later. And this is not does not mean that we will not be available for any questions or any doubts that are raised during the Congress. The purpose of these webinars is to spend a little more time dedicating to this topic so we can have a lighter Congress. So welcome you all and have a good webinar. Pierre, I'll give you the floor.
Thank you. So we'll start with the Constitution propositions. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to give you explanations on the ETTU Constitution propositions. But before, let me highlight that upon Executive Board request, we hold meetings with 3 independent lawyers who did legal checks on the propositions. As a general note, the Constitution, with its first validation effective 1st January 2020, had replaced the former General Regulation A and General Regulation B. However, there is some of the text from the former General Regulation B not yet part of the Constitution, but which would benefit the Constitution wording and is integrated with blue highlights in propositions. Following the new wording by ITTF of the ITTF Board of Directors into ITTF Council, we have, of course, to amend in our Constitution as well in order to be in line with the ITTF wording. The activities for development and events are added under objectives. The word maximum before 4 years for members elected to serve is added, as it may be less in case of suspension or termination for any reason ahead of the term. At election is added the requirement of obtaining the majority more than 50% in case only one person or more persons, but for one post, to guarantee that elected person for the top positions have majority membership support. Deleted is the required majority if election for more than one post due to the difficulty in obtaining majority in case of many candidates. Let me refer to the example of the last Board of Directors election, which required 9 rounds of voting with always the same result for the elected persons. The Executive Board scroll room and the decision process for validation has been re-added. And confirmed is the role of the Deputy Secretary General and introduction of the General Secretariat. Payment deadline is modified as annual invoices cannot be issued in the year before, and so no payments can be expected by 1st January of that year. And the definition of an association in arrears not having voting rights at Congress is added. The jury is added to the judicial bodies for legal validation reasons. And juridical definitions have been made more explicit and clear that summarize the main constitution propositions for voting in Malmö. Thank you. And if there is any question now, please can you maybe wait a few seconds. If there's any question, if there's no question in the Q&A, I will pass over to Heike Ahlert, an acting deputy president, who will continue with the propositions of the regulations. Thank you. Heike, I think you can start.
Yeah, there are no questions. I have seen it. So hello, everyone, also from my side. And I would like to give some explanations to the regulation propositions we made for the Congress in Malmö. And I start with explaining why I took different colors now for the propositions 2 until 14. We checked all European championships, the Olympic singles qualification and Europe top 10 to see whether there are special wordings which should be unified. And therefore I put them in blue colors where it is written in a black color. There we have special changes, which I will explain one after the other. So next slide for the general changes, as I just said. So as I said, we checked all these regulations and we tried to adapt to change situations or also to simplify wordings. That means in all these regulations, we have the same wording now for draw and jury. The regulations are the same, as you can see in the propositions. The competition manager will now be a jury member with voting rights. He was already possible to join the jury and could speak, but he had no voting rights so far. The jury will get legal power in all cases at the event which are not dealt by the referee. This was already the case, but it was not clearly written, and so we thought it's necessary to put it into the propositions. And furthermore, ETTU will cover in future all costs, the travel costs for inspection visit. So far, the host had to reimburse it, but it's not necessary anymore. And as I said, some wording is improved without changing the content. And as you can see in these regulations, in the propositions, some chapters are highlighted in yellow. These are all those points and topics which we think it's necessary to put them into the directives, because if there are necessary changes, then it is easier to handle them without Congress decision. And it's not a very main topic, so that the Congress decision is needed. This is the date of the event, because, you know, we also have to adapt to the international calendar, and sometimes dates are moved, so we have to change also our dates. Medal and honorary awards, this is also furthermore up to the EB and to the awards panel. Flags and national anthems. Sometimes we have problems whether it's really necessary to put on all flags and national anthems, so we can react without having a Congress decision. The ETTU event management system is modernized, and I think it's necessary to do this every now and then to be able to do this. And also informations on accessibility of rooms, provision of rooms. This all depends how the competitions are done. If you have any questions to this, please write down, and I will now go to proposition number 3. Oh no, you are right, Pierre, proposition number 2 and 7, I put them together because in proposition number 2, the regulation B, we have a change that for European Veterans Championships, we will only register players by the nationality nationality of their country, provided that the Table Tennis Association of this country is a member of ETTU. This is necessary to say because you all know that Israel is not an ETTU country, but a European country, but it is a member of ETTU, so we have to clarify this. Further, in earlier competitions, the resident of a player was also approved, but we deleted this because it's sometimes very difficult to prove this, and it's much easier to provide for the players their documentary evidence by their nationality upon request, so that everyone, the host and also ETTU, can check whether they are from the country they say. And the same is done, it must be adapted in the proposition number 7 for the European Veteran Championships. And what is new, requested or asked by the Veterans Committee, is that the new age category 90 and older should be included. And we think it's also very good to do this because it's now the same as we have in the World Veterans, or I think now it's called the Masters Championships in ITTF. And so the category 85 plus is changed to age category 85 to 89. If you have any questions, just write down, and I go now to proposition number 3. It's about the European Championships individual events. And there is not much changed, but we think after 7 years of having the same amount of money for the fee, which was 50 euro. Now we want to increase from 50 to 100 euros. But we think it's not necessary to have any more an extra fee for replacement of players, and therefore we want to delete this. Another reason to increase from 50 to 100 euro is also that we really want to make a difference between youth competitions and senior competitions. So, if there are any questions, I cannot see at the moment, but maybe we wait.
No questions, Heike, no questions.
Yeah, but if you have any questions, still write them down. We can also answer them at the end. Now I come to proposition number 4, which is in my view the most important proposition we have, because there is a lot to say why we change the team events again after now 2 editions. We evaluated the European Championships team events, and we have seen not only through the COVID years, but also the last year, that it is very difficult to find dates for especially stage 1 and stage 2 competitions. We want to have less dates for the competition. We think it's better to play the European Championships team events within 1 calendar year. This may be very good for associations who can then also get funding for stage 1 of the European Championships, because as you remember, at the moment we play within 18 months, but we want to play within 10 months. More teams, we want to qualify directly to the final stage. I explain later on how it will be. But we want and have to keep the principles that a team starting in stage 1 still can win the European Championships later in final stage. This was the main purpose for changing 4 years ago, and this principle has to be kept. And we still want to give participating teams as many matches as possible. I will also explain later on how many matches are guaranteed. And the EC will still be the continental stage for qualifying to the WTTC team championships, like it is now from Malmö to Busan. As I said before, 2 editions have shown that the number of days is really a weak point. We had to change so often, and it was very difficult for the host to adapt to this. So this is really a weak point. And then we also realized that especially in the A groups, when teams were already sure that they qualified to the final stage, then they didn't send their best team or the very good team to the away match, and this gave a lot of difficulties for the host teams in regard of marketing things and TV. Date for the second stage this year in May clashed with European and national club competitions. 2 teams couldn't come. And if normally in the strategic ITTF calendar, we have the World Championships played in May, it's only next year earlier. And this means we have to leave 3 days, weeks, 2 weeks when no competitions are, and this makes it even more difficult to find dates. So also the costs are getting more and more high, especially for travels and accommodations. And that is the reason why we don't want to have a stage 2 anymore. And another reason, sustainability, which is in our strategic plan, one main topic, can be better fulfilled with less dates, with less travel necessities. Now I come to the structure of the new European Championship. The stage 1 should be played within 5 to 6 days, depending on the number of teams. We think January or February. I explain it with a start in 25. So I just put my words to 25 now. January or February 25. And 6 teams can qualify to the final stage. Why 6 teams? Because we have 18 teams which qualify directly from the Malmö Championships to the final stage in 25. Only if the host of the 25 championships is not included in these 18 teams, then we have 19 teams directly qualified to the final stage. And this means then we have only 5 teams who can qualify to the final stage. We were discussing about the fee for the stage 1, and we decided to have a fee of 1,000 euros. And this means that all teams who don't play the final stage have to pay more than 1,000 euros, which is less than before. And because in the second stage, no, this is the same, sorry. And for the final stage, we decided to have 2,000 euro per team. Those who qualify from the first stage, they have to pay an extra fee from 1,000 euro, which means that they pay 1,000 for stage 1 and 1,000 for the final stage. The final stage will remain as it was before, 7 to 8 days in October 25. And yeah, I think that's it. So we can, yeah, this is a little bit summarized how the matches are played. I start with the final stage because nearly nothing is changed. So we still will have 8 groups of 3 teams with round robin system. Winner and runner-up qualify to round 16. But those who are group thirds, they will play in a knockout system to qualify 2 best teams for the next EC final stage. So this is new and means that also those who are only third in the group will have at least 1 extra match. Round of 16 will be played as normal, then all the other matches as well, which means minimum 3 matches for everyone and maximum 6 matches. Now I come to the first stage or stage 1. As this is a new stage, we will have for the host a levy of 5,000 euro. We don't want to put the burden too high to have a host for the first stage. Depending on the number of teams who want to play the European Championships, we will have 4 to 6 qualification groups with 5 to 6 teams, so that at least 4 matches have to be played by each team, also in round robin. Then 16 teams of these qualification groups qualify to the main event with 4 groups of 4 teams. Again, they will play in round robin. And 4 winners will qualify directly to the final stage. And the 4 runners-up play for the remaining 2 spots. And if the host was not included in the 18th, then it's only 1 spot. For all those who are not reaching the main event with 4 groups, they will play position matches in a progressive knockout system, so that all positions will be played, which is first necessary for seeding next edition, and also matches are needed to get ranking points for our at the moment still not official, but European ranking. And I think this can be very good, especially for the lower teams. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask, because I think this is the most important propositions we have. I know that there were some critics or critical words. Why do we delete the home and away matches in the A groups? But we really have seen that especially our best teams, they are so much involved in WTT events that we nearly can't find dates for these good dates for them. And therefore, we think it's better to qualify already 18 teams to the final stage and give the other teams the possibility to qualify there. I think the first stage will be a very interesting competition. So I can't see any questions so far. Maybe later on, even if you have after the webinar questions. There is one question. Yes, there will be 18 teams from Malmö to the next team championships. I must admit that I can now answer not especially team 17 and 18. If we have time, we want to have a match, have matches to play them. But maybe Pierre can also clarify. Alan is also in the webinar, so maybe Alan can say something.
We can come back to this maybe at the end. Yes, maybe then we clarify this.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Good. Maybe Alan can clarify. I'm sorry that I haven't read it here. Okay. So then we go back to the propositions. Proposition number 6, it's about the European Youth Championships. Can you show the next slide? So, as I said before, we have the experimental European ranking so far. And therefore, we want to keep the word or change from world rankings to European ranking, which doesn't mean that we only use European ranking, but for the youth, we think it's a good idea to have at least the European ranking, our own European ranking for under 15 and under 13. If this proposition passes, we can do it starting from next year. And for under 19 and seniors, we still have the extract of world ranking. But the word European ranking is then either extract or separately made European ranking. Necessary when we have our own European ranking is that the ranking committee now has the opportunity, or shall have the opportunity, to give extra points to single players. Why? This is especially needed for those young players, I think, who are very good already on a very high level, playing in WTT youth events or even in WTT senior events, but who don't play very often or never in ETTU Youth Series events. So they can't get European ranking points from the Youth Series events, but for sure it's necessary to rank them in a proper way. And that means that the ranking committee can give extra points to put them in the right place. It's written now in the regulation that in the prospectus of the European Youth Championships, it must be specified which rankings are used for the Youth Championships, which I explained just now, European ranking separately made, or the extract of world ranking. And it's also necessary to do this so that everyone knows what ranking is used, and to be transparent. That's for this proposition. Now proposition number 9, European Top 16 Cup. It's not much, but we think it's necessary to give the winner of the previous Top 16 Cup the possibility to qualify to the next Top 16 Cup. We had some editions where we had a winner. I think it was in Greece. 2 winners couldn't defend their title because they were not number 1 or 2 of the association, and so they couldn't go there by ranking. This means if an association has a winner and from the last edition, he is already qualified for the next edition, and that association can only qualify 1 additional player by ranking, because it's limited to 2 players. And according to the regulations, we had so far a levy of 10,000 euro. We now increase it to 15,000 euro, knowing that the levy of the previous edition was already 20,000 euro, which was done by the contract agreement with a host in Montreux. Yeah, that's it for this. Now, propositions 11 and 12, I put them together because it's mainly the same in the European club competitions, men and women. There is only one change, which is only done for the men. This is renaming this competition European Champions League Men, and not anymore Table Tennis Champions League, because first we think it's necessary to show that it is a European competition, and second, Table Tennis Champions League was the name which was requested by a former sponsor, which is not anymore in. So we want to have European Champions League Men, and now it's the same as for the women. The main change for these is that we don't have management sports anymore. There were some problems. Sometimes it was very difficult to find people who really wanted to be in. And on the other hand, sometimes we had the feeling that they were only, those who were in were more interested on their own club, but not in general. And we think it's necessary to include all participating clubs of the ECL men and also women when we discuss to change anything. So we will have at least once a season a meeting, either in person or online, virtual, with all participating clubs, if necessary, even more. Then we have one outdated text, which is deleted. It's because it was a rule about ranking, and which is not anymore used, because we have already since I think 2 editions another rule, and so we just forgot to delete this sentence. And everything about the juridical is adapted to the Constitution, and this is just necessary. That's it for proposition 11 and 12, and now it's already the explanation for the last proposition, number 14, and it's about the European Under-21 Championships. And there we have, Galia, can you show the slide? So far we had the rule that the host association gets 1 man and 1 women spot guaranteed, and we want to increase it to 2 men and 2 women because it's good if the host association has also the possibility to form a double men and double women for the doubles competition. And on the other hand, we also see that most of the time we really struggle to have the last or 2 last places for the under 21 championships. So we think it's a good investment to increase to 2 men and 2 women spots. And so far we had a rule that the association could also book their own hospitality arrangements, but no associations since 2015 used this possibility. And it's also easier for the host to prepare their budget, to prepare the whole competition, the championships. And so we decided to delete the hospitality arrangements by the associations. From in the future, they only can book, like they did already before, book it through the host association. These were the main changes. And I see that there is already one question. Yes, Camille. Camille asked, did I understand correctly that all matches of stage 1 of the future EC will be played at one place only? Yes, this is correct. We want to have one competition, 5 to 6 days at one place where all matches will be played. Are there more questions? Matthias Neuwirth. Yeah. Pierre, can we come back to the question from...
Yes, it's answered. So also there's maybe more, maybe for more detail, maybe we can come at the real end when there's no more question. Maybe we can let the competition manager to give
yes,
more detailed explanation on it. That may be easy.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So far, I see no more questions. I think then it would be good if Alan can give an explanation. I think it's by ranking, but is Alan?
Can you see me? Hi to everyone.
Yeah. Now we can hear you.
Yeah, hi. Hi to everyone. So the answer is that for 2025, direct qualification will be for all teams who qualify for the round of 16, so which go to main draw in Malmo, and best 2 teams according the October World Team ranking among the 8 third position teams.
Okay.
Which will be third teams, which will be third in the groups. Yeah. So
Okay.
among that 8 teams, 2 best teams from the October World Team ranking will qualify directly for 2025 European Team Championships.
Yeah. Thank you. Now I remember that we decided this because there is no time in the time schedule in Malmö, which was prepared long before to play for these positions. But in the future, this will be done. Okay. So if there are no more questions, and I can't see anyone, then I'm done. I'm ready. Then I think we can close the webinar. Thanks everyone for listening. And yeah, if you have any questions later on, we recorded this webinar, so you can also see what we explained, and you can ask questions. And otherwise, we see us in Malmö.
Thank you very much for attending this webinar. See you in Malmö. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.